Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more legacy action. Today, at the request of a donor, I am playing some Blue Painter. This particular list is from Eternal Weekend Japan and it came in the top 100, so it did pretty well. Doing a lot of things you would expect it to be doing. So we obviously have Painter's Servant and Grindstone as our main way of winning the game. We can tutor up the Grindstone using Urza Saga, and then we can find the Painter's Servant using things like Thought Monitor and Thoughtcast. So we're doing sort of like 8-casty style things. We're actually indexing more heavily on stock up. This digs deeper. If we're finding specific things rather than just raw velocity, this is going to be better to pay 3 mana for this than it is for just 1 mana to get 2 cards. So the idea is we're going to dig up our way to Painter's Servant combo and just mill our opponent out. If you're unfamiliar with how this works, this makes all the cards in their library the same colour. This mills them over, and if the 2 cards they mill are the same colour, you repeat the process and so on and so forth. So that's just a combo. We've got Emry to give us some card advantage as well, which can just keep rebuying our pieces, so we can just keep sending the combo until we win the game. We've got good blue protection in the form of Force of Will and Force of Negation alongside Metallic Rebuke. We've got a little modest Urza Saga package. We've got Mox Opals, Soaring Lantern, Pithing Needle and Lavaspur Boots, so we can go and get a hasty Emry, which is pretty cool. And we've also got some Baubles and Lotus Petals to fuel our sort of artifact synergy. The other way we tend to win the game is via just massive Urza Saga constructs. We can power them out as early as turn 2 because of Ancient Tomb in our deck. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We've seen stuff like this before. It's very much a known quantity. In Legacy, there's a lot of powerful artifact synergies that we can sort of leverage along the way. On the sideboard, we've got Hydroblast, Flusterstorm, Consign to Memory, just a bunch of different counter spells. A couple of Chalice. Obviously, we don't really want to be playing Chalice in the main when our game plan revolves around trying to cast this 1-drop. Obviously, we can tutor for it, but sometimes we might end up with both of them in hand and lock ourselves out with a Chalice. So we do need to be careful about that. We've got a couple of Disruptor Flutes, just sort of a generic anti-combo piece. Shadow Spear if we need to actually race and gain some life. Haywire Might, just a nice way of answering things. Although I tend to prefer having something that works underneath Null Rod, because this obviously doesn't. We've got a couple of Fairy Macabre for Graveyard Hate and then some removal in the Dismembers. So nothing really out of the ordinary here. But it's been a hot minute since we've played a bit of Blue Paint on the channel, so I hope you enjoy this one. Please remember to like and subscribe, and let's just get stuck right in. The new year is here, and what better time to clear out your unwanted cards than now? My lovely sponsors 3for1 Trading are buying all Magic cards and collections of any size. They will quickly appraise your collection and give you a fast, non-binding ballpark figure so you know what you're working with right away. They buy collections from anywhere in the world. You can ship them cards, arrange a courier, and they even make in-person visits for large collections to offer full peace of mind. Click the link in the description or visit 3for1.gg/sell-COW to start unloading your unwanted cards today. Our opener has some issues here for this first round. We don't have a way of leveraging this Saga really. We can't get anything going. I think we have to mulligan this one. Is this going to be stocking up and hoping for the best? Could well be. I think we keep this one on the back of these cards. And we have to decide if we just want another redraw or if we want another Ancient Tomb. I think I'm going to bin off the Ancient Tomb. Alright. Scissorman Meat Pie is our opponent. What are they doing? They're playing an Ocelot Pride. Good card is good. Also looked up how much it cost today, and it's much more expensive than I thought it was. Okay, let's get going with a stock up here. We're probably looking for a blue land in this pile of things. Sort of, I guess. Take one of our combo pieces, because we're probably going to have to race the combo in a matchup like this, and I'll take the Sink into Stupor. I don't think I want to... I guess I probably am okay getting this Bauble out, actually. We'll pop it in our opponent's turn in case they're running the black build, which has Thoughtseize, although they could be running Orcish Bowmasters, but I'd rather lose the card or get pinged. Maybe we'd actually just do this now. Guide of Souls. Alright. Interesting they played it this way round instead of going for the guide and the Ocelot Pride. It suggests to me that they have access to another Ocelot Pride. Okay, we found a blue land. That's pretty good news. Normally I would play out the Guide of Souls and the Ocelot Pride, because if our opponent, from our opponent's position, if they play the Ocelot Pride and the enemy just plays a creature that can block Ocelot Pride, then you don't gain the life and you don't get to sort of grow your board. Whereas if you play the Guide of Souls first and you play the Ocelot Pride, you also get a jump start on your energy generation. It's going to work out for our opponent anyway, but it's just something interesting to think about. Here's a Guide of Souls. They're going to play out another Ocelot Pride. They didn't. That is interesting. Maybe that means they have a removal spell in hand. They know that they can make sure the coast is clear. Also left 1 mana open for a removal spell. Okay, let's punch ourselves in the face again with a stock up. Looking for Grindstone and mana at this point. We're a little ways off of doing anything with this Thought Monitor. Emry is reasonable here. It's a 1-2, which is actually pretty good. And then, do we just want a seat to the Synod? Or are we looking at trying to draw cards? So if we get Emry in, we're not really close enough. I think we just want more mana. So I'm just going to take this seat. Am I going to play out this Lotus Petal? I don't think so. We're 1 mana away from being able to play all of our combo pieces and win in 1 turn. Because it's 6 mana for Painter, Grindstone, Activate. We might just be a solid red-white build here from our opponent. I don't think they kill us this turn at all, but next turn they might be able to kill us. Because they're going to... What is this? Creatures you control with power 2 or less can't be blocked by creatures with power 3 or greater. If an ability or a creature you control power 2 or less triggers... Oh, okay, so they're going to double trigger their Guide of Souls, double trigger their Ocelot Pride. Yikes, that's a little spooky for us, isn't it? So we're only taking 3 this turn. That's going to put us down to 12. We've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh no, we're taking another 2 actually, aren't we? So we're taking 5 this turn. So we go down 10. So we have 5 damage, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, we're definitely dead next turn. So we're going to need to put something in the way of these creatures. We're just kind of getting run over a little bit. Oops, this triggers. So they're not going to get additional cats because they put the counters on the Ocelot Pride. They could have put the counter on the cat, and then they would have got an additional cat here. Which I think is probably worth doing. We can get a 1 mana Emry out here. That can block something. How much damage are you taking? So let's say we block, you know, this guy. We're taking 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we're going to have to do some more blocking. I'm just trying to work out if we're using our Lotus Petal or not. I guess we can always bring back our Lotus Petal next turn, so it's probably worth saving the life of the Ancient Tomb here. This is kind of tipping our hand a little bit in terms of what we're doing. I think we named blue so that our Force of Will is going to be easier to feed. We've got 3 cards in hand. I don't think we're dead this turn. That doesn't give us... Like, we do have the Grindstone in the graveyard from this Emry. So we do have a line to win the game, backed up by Force of Will. I'm just a little bit concerned that our opponent's going to be able to kill us here. They're cracking in their upkeep. They really don't want to draw another land. Right, they have the City's Blessing now. We're going to see another Amp Raptor. A Voice of Victory, you say. This means we can't cast spells on our turn. If I counterspell this, we don't have this counterspell to protect us. We're going to be dead next turn anyway. I think we're just going to save this counterspell for our turn in case they try and Swords to Plowshares on our turn. We're dead next turn regardless of what we do here, so I don't think taking more bodies out. Kraza. Okay, so that's them tapped out. We just need to survive here, which I don't know if we're going to be able to do. Are they giving this haste? Yes. Maths is for blockers, I guess. Let's see where they put their counter off their Guide of Souls. They get to trigger it twice, don't they, because of this thing. I think that's enough to kill us here, because then they have 3 in the air, and then they just go wide of us. Yeah, this Delney Streetwise Lookout is probably going to be the thing that puts us in the dirt. Because they only had 1 of these guys being jumped. We could take 6, block 1, 2. We just take... We have to block this and this, and we still take 2, 3, 4. No, we would just be dead regardless, right? I don't believe there's any way that we get through this one. Yeah. Ocelot Pride decks are very good. Big fan of them. I think they are slightly slept on by some people. Okay, how do we want to do this? Chalice for 1 is very good against what our opponent's doing. I would like a Shadow Spear. Dismember is a difficult removal spell, but I think we probably need it. I would like the Hydroblasts. Do we want these? Because they have a lot of 1-drops. And the 1-drops are the scariest things in their deck. So if we can say no to them, that's probably quite good. We don't need a Soul Guide Lantern for this matchup. Pithing Needle is okay. They probably have Wastelands. But by the time we fetch the Pithing Needle off theirs' side, we've probably already survived a Wasteland anyway. So we've probably been off those 2. Meltdown's not going to be our friend if they've got that one. Thought Monitor is just too expensive, I think, to cast reliably. We just want our dig. We just want to combo our opponent out for the most part. Shut them down with Chalice, then combo them out. Is Chalice good here? Is Tamiyo good here? Because we can shut down all of their 1-power creatures quite nicely. So I do think that is good. Metallic Rebuke, are we really holding mana up for that? Probably not. Maybe to take out Force of Negation. Have something along these lines. So we can try and crunch them with some big constructs. Maybe shut down their ability to play Cat Guide combo. What does this hand do? We play out our Grindstone and then we play out our Chalice. That's kind of neat. But then what does the rest of this hand do? We redraw with Bauble. Hope for the best. We get 2 draw steps and maybe find something to piece together here. Are we supposed to mulligan looking for an engine piece? I think this is so good against our opponent though. I will keep this. We could be learning the hard way that we shouldn't have kept this though. We'll find out. I think we go turn 1 Otawara. Play out this Grindstone beneath our Chalice. And then we can Mishra's Bauble our opponent. Grab an extra card. Get a little bit of information on the way. A Wasteland. I'm not a fan of that one. But if they Wasteland us and we draw an Ancient Tomb, we can just get this Chalice down. He's going to Wasteland me straight up. Or are they saving it for an Urza Saga? I think that's probably what I would likely do in my opponent's spot. Just get some pressure down. Okay, they've gone for the Wasteland, so probably just getting Wastelanded. Yeah, okay. I don't like that very much. See if the Synod would be a good draw. We did not draw it, unfortunately. So if we play this for 3 life, Emry costs 2. We don't get to do anything. I'll say tapped for this one. I'm not going to play a Chalice on 0. That would just hurt us way too much. Some kind of creature. It's a Guide of Souls. Am I countering a Guide of Souls? Does our counterspell have to be used on Meltdown? Yes. And we can just dismember this when the time comes. Or we could just never draw mana and die. That's also an alternative. Yuck. How many lands do we even have on our list? 16. That is quite irresponsible, I think. We really only have 16 lands. Obviously, we've got baubles and petals and things. But they aren't really permanent mana sources. I'm willing to take the 1 here because I would rather dismember a cat than this, because the cat just goes wide on its own and we can just deal with this later. Now this jumps and things, but we've got the ability to maybe do something about that. A Voice of Victory. Well, use it or lose it, I guess. Do I want to give up a stock up or an Emry though? I think we have to give up the stock up here. Do I think I'm going to draw a land? If we're going to draw a land, we should dismember now. But we obviously don't know if we're drawing a land. So I think we're just going to take our draw and hope for the best. Ugh. So normally, like the Patchwork Stompy decks, I think have 17 lands. They got a little bit more than us. And they also have more 0 drops and more Moxen. So they have more mana than us. Alright, we're going to continue to get attacked by this guy and we're just not going to do anything here. Goblin Bombardment. I guess we'll take out the Guide of Souls now. Our opponent's got the good art as well. I love the sold art. Alright, deck. Do we get to play Magic the Gathering? Yes, we do. Thank you for that, deck. I think we probably just need to get the Chalice in. This will also shut off Swords to Plowshares on our Painter's Servant. And it means if we get Wastelanded, we can still just play an Emry. Are they going to Lightning Bolt us or something? No, it's Elegant Parloring. So we don't have to worry about Ocelot Pride, which is the best way they win the game in their deck. We do still have to be concerned with the Ajani, because that's obviously going to be red, so they're going to be able to make cats and then dome us. A Wasteland, we've sort of played around this because we can still play out the Emry. An Ancient Tomb. Okay, I'm down for Ancient Tomb action. Let's go for Emry here. Find anything exciting there? Not really, but it doesn't need to be exciting because we just have the Painter's Servant in hand now. And we're insulated against the Swords to Plowshares and the Pyroblast. Does that mean we're supposed to name blue because they can't Pyroblast us? I don't think it matters, is the answer. Should we just name blue for Force of Will reasons? If we didn't have the Chalice, then I don't think we name blue, but the Chalice should cover a thing. And if they're going to blow up the Chalice, they're probably going to blow up everything with a Meltdown, and then we're just going to be sad. Do we get to win the game after missing land drops for what felt like forever? Yeah, we missed land drops for like 4 or 5 turns, I think. 4 turns? 4 turns we missed land drops. Jeez. Okay. That felt okay. Do I want something like a Pithing Needle just for Goblin Bombardment? I think we just have the Hydroblast and that's enough. Let's just resend it. Okay, Tamiyo is not a bad way to start the game, but it is our only blue card. But maybe we'll draw one. I think this hand is fine. Tamiyo is pretty good against what our opponent's doing. Ocelot Pride. You got it. Lavaspur Boots. There are various options available to us right now. We could just play a Painted Servant, because that can block the Ocelot Pride. And also gives us Force of Will. Let's have a look with this Mishra's Bauble. A little bit of information. Goblin Bombardment. Okay. I think I'm going to play out this Painted Servant. It just blocks so effectively against this Ocelot Pride. And we're going to name blue so that we can pitch this Lavaspur Boots probably to the Painted Servant. That way we get to keep our Tamiyo around, and maybe the Tamiyo can flip and blank their board. We probably have to counterspell a Goblin Bombardment because that just gets really out of hand. Swords to Plowshares. Okay, I think we lose the Lavaspur Boots here. I'm holding out for an Ancient Tomb so we can stock up. So they probably don't get a cat this turn. But we do have problems with our mana yet again. We kind of have 2, 3 less sources than like the classic Pinnacle Stompy lists. Because they've obviously got the additional Mox Opal, but then they also have stuff to turn on the Mox Opal. Like the 0 drops that cantrip. It kind of feels like an extra land in there. Okay. I don't mind an Urza's Saga here. This represents Grindstone in a few turns. Let's get Tamiyo in. Still going to leave the Painted Servant back, because if the Ocelot Pride isn't attacking, then we're doing okay. What we don't want to see here is a Ajani into Bombardment. That's pretty scary for us. Obviously, Red Blasts are very good for our opponent at this point. They could take us off of blue mana if they wanted. They could just blow up any of our permanents with a Red Blast. And they're definitely going to be running Red Blasts. And here one is. Okay, they're taking out the Tamiyo. Honestly, not the worst for us. If we find a land, we can play a stock up. Null Rod. Well, we have like a 1-0 sink into Stupor. Our deck seems very cold to Null Rod. I can't do much with this either. Our list. How are we beating Null Rod? We stop it resolving, or we have to play a painter on red and Hydroblast it. That works. Yeah, so this is what I mentioned earlier about the Haywire Might not being an answer to Null Rod being kind of a big deal. We do have this one of sink into Stupor as well. Yep, feels horrible. At least with like the Stompy sort of builds, you can just, you know, beat them down. It doesn't matter if your Patchwork Automaton doesn't have activated abilities. With Kappa Cannoneer, it's still just going to be huge. Amped Raptor. What are they going to find off of this bad boy? Kraza. The old Spider-Punk. Making it 3-2. Very good. They could trade this Ocelot Pride for a cat. I don't think they're going to do that. I think our chances of winning this game are close to 0. But not absolute 0, so maybe we can wiggle. Let's float some mana. Do any of these cards matter? No, we get the Grindstone in case something changes. We don't get to cast any spells. Our opponent can also get this Golden Bombardment down pretty soon. Okay, they're attacking with just that guy. We can't block him without dying, so we just take it. What about second Null Rod? Are we 100% dead to second Null Rod? We could do some Urza Saga beats. Is that really going to beat what our opponent's doing at this stage of the game, though? I don't think it will. We'll take on the draw, but if it's not a land or something useful, then we can just pack this one up, I think. A Force of Will after our opponents played their Null Rods. Also, Kraza means that we don't get to counter anything, so they can play this Goblin Bombardment. Yeah, I don't think we can win this game. I think we're just going to scoop it up. Our deck seems very cold to Null Rod, which is a bit scary. Okay, that's the first round down. Let's go to round 2. Alright, round 2. What does our hand actually do here? We've got some artifacts. We can probably Thoughtcast on turn 1 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we can Thoughtcast on turn 1 and play out a bunch of permanents. I would like a little bit more blue mana than what we have. And we do have a couple of redraws in our deck, so we don't really know what these are going to be until we get there. Another Thoughtcast, you say? Let's play out some Baubles. Play out a Lotus Petal. So we only have to play out one artifact here to get the Metalcraft to cast as Thoughtcast. Or, sorry, Affinity, not Metalcraft. To interact with this, then we can play the Solgai Lantern and take out whatever they interact with this using. So if they Force of Will this. If they daze this, we'll just pay for the daze. This way we can then put the Thoughtcast on the stack, which locks in the mana cost of it that we have to pay, and then we crack the Lotus Petal to pay for it. Let's draw some more cards. An Otawara, I'm not unhappy about that. We've got one mana left over, so I'm going to play this Soul Guide Lantern out. We will need to eat something. We're just going to eat our own Thoughtcast, because we can get the Lotus Petal back with an Emry later on, but the Thoughtcast is just not doing anything for us. Let's see what our opponent's drawing. Thoughtseize. Huh. Okay. So we'll see what they draw here. So they've got that, and then we're going to bauble them to see what their next card is going to be. Tamiyo gets in for a clue. We know they've got this Thoughtseize. I'd be amazed if they didn't try and Thoughtseize us here. We found a blue source here, so we're actually doing all right for mana this round. Maybe the first round was just a bit of poor variance on our part with mana. So here comes the Thoughtseize. Be my guest. They immediately took the Thoughtcast. I would also do the same in that position. Now they're going to brainstorm here. I think it's more value to see what they put on top and maybe what they don't want or what they're trying to protect from any potential interaction we have. Because they don't know if we're running other colours. Because the Grindstone is obviously a bit unusual. There are obviously blue painted decks that have been around for a while, but the list kind of chop and change a bit. We could very easily be running like a blue-black deck with Tezzeret in, for example. I'm not the happiest about this Tamiyo. This does put a clock on the game. But there is just a number of games you're going to lose to in Legacy at the moment where it's just a Tamiyo just sort of runs you over. And that is unfortunately the world we live in. Emry, Lurker, Loch is a pretty good one. Force of Will is fine. The only thing I liked was going to be the big thing that matters the most here. This Soul Guide Lantern allows us to blank whatever they do with the Tamiyo if they want to take it down. And then this Otawara can bounce the Tamiyo later as well. So I'm going to go for this seat into Emry, which might mill us into a painter that gives us a potential win. I will force this to push it through because I think this is going to be really essential for us to win the game. Okay, so there is the painter. If they minus the Tamiyo, we crack the Lantern to stop them getting that card back. Snuff out. I've already said that I would Force of Will to protect this, so here we go. We can pay around a daze, but they could have a Force of Will of their own. They've done a little bit of manipulating. Snuff out is interesting. I don't think we're looking at some sort of Death Shadow deck, but it's possible. They might just be running Snuff out as like a cheap piece of interaction, so they can do some early stuff with Tamiyo while still holding up interaction. Well, I'm personally not a fan of... Yikes. I'm not a fan of the Snuff out in the main deck at the moment in Legacy, considering some of the scariest things you need to kill are Orcish Bowmasters and the Baragoyf. Now, it certainly kills Tamiyo, or at least it tries to. Our opponent is low on cards. I think they're just going to try and tick Tamiyo up to ultimate. We do need to find another mana source if we want to be able to Otawara bounce this before it ultimates. This goes up to 6, then we draw a card. Then it goes up to 8, then we draw a card. So we do have 2 draw steps plus a Soul Guide Lantern that we can do stuff with if that's what their game plan is. I'm not going to crack the Lantern just yet. I think we're just going to play out some Lavaspur Boots. So we could get a hasty Emry. So this turn we have to crack the Soul Guide Lantern to draw a card so that we can try and get through the Tamiyo. Because if this just pops as ultimate, we're never winning through that. They left the card on top. Good for them. They do know we have this Otawara, so they know that the Tamiyo might be drawing some fire from us. But if we bounce the Tamiyo, they still have a Tamiyo in their resources of things to play the game with. And they can just replay it out, but hopefully we can just combo over the top of it. Ponder from our opponent, you got it. If they minus the Tamiyo, then that's pretty good for us. If they don't, we need to find a land or we lose the game. So we have 2 draw steps to do that with. Or 1 draw step and 1 draw from the Soul Guide Lantern. They like the cards they had on top, and now they have a Wasteland. Our opponent has us in a bind here. Because we draw a card with this, and they can just return something with the Tamiyo now. Oh, Pithing Needle is actually a good draw, though. We kind of want them to go upstairs with the Tamiyo here. Okay. I think once we crack the Soul Guide Lantern, maybe you're incentivized to grab something. Okay, it doesn't matter because they've got another Tamiyo. Understood. Well, at least we have an answer for it. And if we want to play it around a daze, we do need to play out this Otawara. We have 1 card in hand, so I don't think they have an immediate answer to this, but a Brazen Borrower can obviously answer it. Tamiyo, Seasoned Scholar. But now they've just got the front side of a Tamiyo to just tick away, and if they ever find the Brazen Borrower, they just win the game by popping this. Very much getting the Tamiyo treatment here. Now we've got a couple of Tamiyos in our deck, so we can do similar things. We're not quite as good at leveraging the Tamiyo. We don't have instant speed card draw in the same way they do. Oh, Kaito. That's horrible for us in a different and new fascinating fashion. This is going to be drawing them an extra card every turn, as well as actually pressuring our life total. So now we're on an actual clock. I don't think we have a hope of winning this one, but we'll keep playing. We've gotten out of tighter spots on the channel in the past. I assume they're going to replay the Tamiyo, and then they can continue generating clues. It does look like the Snuff Out is just a choice of removal spell, so they can be really efficient with their mana in the early turns. Stock Up, that'd be great if we could cast it. I'm not sure how many turns of this game are left. Like, probably 4. I think they're just going to draw extra cards with this. But I don't think we're going to be able to get back in this one. Alright, I've had enough of this. Let's just scoot that one up. Our opponent drawing extra cards a turn, taking us down to no resources. They're drawing 2 extra cards a turn at this point. Alright, this is the matchup where the Chalice looks okay, but we do have some considerations with it. Disruptor Flute for Kaito and Tamiyo feels pretty important. Haywire Might's not really at its best here. Dismember is pretty good at killing some guys. Side memory, Flusterstorm can help us fight and get something in. That might be okay. What do we not need? The Soulguard Lantern has text, but we're going to be putting better cards in, so I think that's fine. I like the Lavaspur Boots, I like the Needle. I think we need to keep all of our 0 drops if we're ever trying to cast these. I think Thought Monitor is quite an ambitious card to try and cast in our deck, if I'm being perfectly honest. Like, things have to be going very well for us for this to work. And they're obviously a Orcish Bowmaster's deck in the first place, which is not going to be our best friend either when we're trying to counter it with all of our Baubles and Thoughtcasts. Which counter magic do we want? Generally speaking, you don't want a whole bunch of pitch counter magic in a matchup like this, but we are a combo deck, so we're protecting something that's worth protecting. Our mana has been a little bit shaky so far this league, so I'm kind of reluctant to bring in this Flusterstorm. If we don't bring in the Chalices, then we just need to make one more cut to get these in. And I think that looks okay. We're getting rid of one of these, or is it the Metallic Rebuke? I think I'll get rid of the Force of Will and see if we can leverage the 1-for-1 trading piece here. How do I feel about this opener? It has the recurring problem that we've been finding in that we don't have enough mana. I think we're going to be a bit like more honest with ourselves and just dig for the mana here. So this has the mana but doesn't have any action. I don't think we can keep a hand that looks like this either. Alright, this is the best one so far. Let's keep this. I like these objects. How are we going to put the Emry into play? Definitely not using this Force of Will. And I guess it's the Mox Opal that goes. If you play the Painted Servant out on turn 1, it dodges the days, and it means that we get the Emry plus Grindstone on turn 2, potentially. Am I going to name blue? Am I going to name red? I think I'm going to name black for Snuff Out purposes. They've shown us the Snuff Out. I'd like to not die to that. We don't have a Force of Will, and we're unlikely to have the resources to pitch to one anyway. Probably just going to get... Okay, they can Fatal Push this if they want. Okay, they're going to Thought Seize us. So if they take the Grindstone, we can get it back with the Emry. If they take the Emry, we still have the Grindstone. This is fine, but not amazing. Now, they could just counterspell Emry and leave us a little bit high and dry. Oh, that's quite nice for us. So this is 2 mana. How much is this going to cost us? 2 mana. I think they'll fight pretty hard over an Emry. We could just play the Grindstone first. And then the Emry only costs 1 mana anyway. That's some redundancy we've got there. They're not going to exile our things either. They're just going to bounce them or destroy them. We have a win next turn. Maybe we're just not mulliganing aggressively enough with our deck in the previous games. It's kind of a weird beast. We have so many bits of air in our deck. Because we've got, you know, all these baubles and things that don't actually do anything. Alright, they're just scooping it up. That felt pretty reasonable, didn't it? Let's go back in and try that again. I don't think we want anything different. Let's just go for it. We just want to assemble our combo and then try and send it as many times as we can using things like Emry and Stock Up to keep refiring it, and then maybe have a little bit of permission along the way in terms of like force. So this opener has similar problems again. We don't have the mana to really get this one going. So let's be shrewd about how we're mulliganing here. Okay, this is better. We can keep this. We've got Tamiyo, Emry, stock up, Ancient Tomb. I think the Thoughtcast might be a little bit of a pipe dream. We can play Tamiyo and Emry on the first turn. That is a lot of good stuff to be doing. Yeah, let's put this Thoughtcast back. We don't necessarily have the tools to leverage us yet, and the rest of these cards we can do something pretty good with early doors. I suspect we get Thoughtseize on turn 1. Of course, there it is. What do you take from this hand? If they've got a Fatal Push, then they take one of our creatures, kill the other one, and then we're kind of nowhere. But we do have this stock up, which could just find both of our combo pieces at some stage. We took the stock up. That is interesting to me. That's actually a surprisingly good draw for us, that Mox Opal. That allows us to play both of these around a daze. And we don't even have to lose our Lotus Petal. Right, let's get the Emry in. What are you going to mill over for us? Give us some nice goodies. A Snuff Out. Okay, it doesn't matter what goodies they are. And now we're just going to try and settle into some Tamiyo gaming here. It didn't mill us over anything useful, to be honest, at all. So it wouldn't have actually been a particularly good Emry if it did stick around. I think if I was them, I would let the ability resolve first, so they could see what we've milled over and see if it's even worth killing our Emry. Although now they've killed our Tamiyo, we have 0 going on. So they had 3 pieces of interaction for our 5-card hand or whatever it was. Was it 5-card or was it 6-card? I can't remember now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it was a 6-card hand. But they had 3 answers for our 3 pieces of action. And now we're just left with mana and hoping that we can draw something off the top. Force of Will, that is hard castable. So I will play out this Ancient Tomb just in case something really scary gets put on the stack. A Murktide Regent. I think that warrants a counter spell. We haven't given them a reason to use a daze yet. So if they have the daze as well, then they can just push this through and the game's going to end pretty quick. But they didn't. So we get to play some more Magic, but we are living in top deck mode and our opponent's got a couple of cards in hand. Do I want this Ancient Tomb? If we leave it in hand, our opponent might waste time on a Thoughtseize. And I'm okay with that. They're also way more likely to wasteland our Ancient Tomb if we don't have a second one. So I think that just plays around the things they can have a little bit better. Brainstorm is very nice. Would you look at that? Our opponent is firing with a Thoughtseize, so we're going to get a free little bit of damage on our opponent there. Not that we're great at pushing damage anyway. Mox Opal, that sucks. I guess we play out the Ancient Tomb now they know it's there. We don't have any way of putting cards back in our library. We're not Brainstorm or Brain Surge deck. We've got none of that action. Another Brainstorm from our opponent. They haven't cracked their fetch since the last Brainstorm. So they're going to be seeing some amount of the same cards. Which suggests to us that they were pretty good cards. A Wasteland. They can take us off of blue mana very easily here. They might just hardcast a Kaito. Which I think is better case for us than them wastelanding us. Yep, here's the hardcast Kaito. This is obviously not good for us. But I think it's better than if they just wastelanded our blue source and left us high and dry. Surveilling is happening. We haven't lost any lives, this is just a surveil. A Bauble. Well, it's something, isn't it? Do we crack it now? Or do we hold out for dodging a Thoughtseize? I don't think we're casting anything on our opponent's turn. Our plan is to draw into Painted Grindstone. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana. So we're not going to be able to combo them out next turn. I can count... Actually, no, we've got 6 mana because it's Mox Opal in hand, right? 1, 2, 3... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, we've got loads of mana. What am I talking about? So our plan is to draw into both combo pieces as the top 2 cards of our library and win the game. Now, Wasteland can obviously do some work here. I'm fascinated that they haven't fired it off. We're losing Metalcraft here, but if we find the combo pieces, we're going to be able to have Metalcraft anyway. It's better be good. It was good, but not quite the one we wanted. Let's play out this. Are you going to Wasteland it with the trigger on the stack? No, they did not. I suspect it is going to get Wastelanded, though. So there's a second Wasteland. Are they going to ramp up their ninja damage? They are. So it's a 5 and then 6. So this is going to cut down how much we can use these Ancient Tombs. I'm fascinated by the lack of Wasteland so far. We have an Urza Saga. There we go. We've got another Urza Saga and they've got another Wasteland. But it just protects our actual mana sources. Let's go for this Urza Saga. And then we're going to play out this Emry. They can tap this down so it doesn't get to untap anymore, which is not ideal for us, but at least it stops us growing or drawing them a card. We have virtually zero agency in this game. We just need to play the things we draw and hope that they stick. Hardcasting the Force. Yep. Not a bad last card to have, opponent. So they should just attack us here and then surveil and draw a bonus card. I don't think we get through whatever that bonus card is because we're not going to have the combo available next turn because we need to draw 2 cards and we just don't have the ability to do that unless some weird Thoughtcast shenanigans gets involved, but Thoughtcast is quite expensive. Drawing some sort of like Disruptor Flute, Pithing Needle doesn't matter here either because the Kaito still gets to attack. I guess they could forget to Wasteland us. That might buy us a turn. They did not forget to Wasteland us. What have we got for us, deck? A Disruptor Flute. The thing that I said doesn't matter. And it doesn't. So that is the end of round 2, I'm afraid. We managed to put a game on, but we just couldn't really overcome our opponent's disruption there. Feels like our deck is somewhat easy to pick apart because we've got specific pieces instead of redundancy going on. But let's go to round 3 and see if we can pull out a win. Alright, this hand looks pretty nice to me. I'll keep this. More of this, please, deck. I think we just start off with the Painter plan. It's either that or we start off with the Tamiyo plan. But I think I would like to leverage my blue mana a bit more. Let's get this Painter Servant around because it worked pretty well before. We play this out and then we can play out Grindstone and Emry next turn. What am I going to name here? I guess we name blue first time around. Makes forces easier for our opponent. An Urza Saga. What flavour of Urza Saga deck is this going to be? A Lotus Petal. Black mana for a Thoughtseize. Okay. You can take my Grindstone, but we can get it back with Emry. If they take my counter magic, it probably means they're on something like Beseech Storm. Okay. That looks very Beseech Stormy to me, and we don't have a force, so we're just going to get bodied pretty hard here, I think. Little Dark Ritual action. Beseech the Mirror, sacrificing... Okay, no, they're just floating a bunch of mana here, and then going to Echo. So we could draw into a force. We did not draw into a force. We've got 5 in the deck. At least we're in a matchup where they're not going to mess with our mana base too much. Or at all, in fact. Mox Opal. Yep, I think their Mox Opals are a little bit better than ours. Tendrils. That is lethal. Okay, we just got turn 1 and we didn't have a force. Now, they would have beaten us if we did have a force. We could have wheeled into a force. That might have been useful, but alas, was not to be. Let's get Chalice of the Void, Disruptor Flute. Fairy Macabre has a little bit of text if they're doing the Guy's Will lines, if they're on that sort of plan. Haywire might have some text. Consign to Memory, Flusterstorm, all these things seem fine. Don't think we need Pithing Needle. Tamiyo might be a little bit slow to leverage in a matchup like this, but if we can just play some guys out and turn them sideways, that's, you know, start getting some clues that we can hold up things like Metallic Rebuke and then crack it if we don't need to. That seems fine. So winning the game is probably less important. So we can trim on a couple of these pieces perhaps. Still got a lot more stuff. I'm really not sold on Thought Monitor in our deck as a whole. It is blue. What is our blue count looking like? 23, 24, 25, 26 if we can fit all these in. I don't know if we can fit all of these in. Maybe we take out... The Haywire might help us beat Urza's Saga from our opponent. Is that worth it here? Uncertain. We've got a lot of cuts if we want to fit these in, so I don't think we get to play them all. We could probably trim on like a Bauble and an Opal. So what is that giving us at this moment? We get Fluster and 2 Consigns. And then we get 1 more card. So Chalice probably. If we're playing Chalice on 0, like all of this stuff feels real bad. We could just lean into that and just get rid of all these things. It makes our Thoughtcast even worse. But maybe we're just not playing Thoughtcast that much this time around. So if we get Chalice in, get Disruptor Flute in. Let's try something wild here. Let's just try this. Would I like this Haywire Might? Alright, we've got a bunch of stuff in. We'll see how it fares. Maybe we've gone a little bit lost in the sauce of sideboarding here. But this is not a game where we have to win it. It's a game where we have to try to not lose the game. So this hand is fine in a lot of matchups, but we can't keep it here. This hand literally doesn't play the game, so we have to mulligan. Oh, deck. Why is the mana base so bad? I guess we're keeping this. Keeping the blue cards. 3 cards have got to go back, so I guess we're just putting these 3 back. This is a disaster. Bad lands. Back to us, a land. I'd love an Ancient Tomb if we're doing requests. I think I will play out this Saga. This allows us to kick the Consign to get the Replicate off. Burning Wish. I'd really like to have this stock up work. So they could just get a Thoughtseize off of this. That allows them to take apart our hand a bit. A Galvanic Relay. Okay, we're doing something a little bit slower. Maybe that's okay. Flusterstorm is okay. We didn't get the thing we needed off the Urza Saga, so now we're in trouble. We did leave some Lotus Petals in our deck, so that we can get them off of the Urza Saga still. Dark Ritual, you got it. Lotus Petal, you got that as well. Mox Opal. We want them to play everything out, and then we can just consign this Galvanic Relay. So we're going to hit the Storm trigger here. So they only get 1 card off this Relay. They were hoping for like a big draw. Okay, they got another Burning Wish. And we still have the Force of Will going. So this turn we can cast a stock up. So we tap this, tap this. Our Urza Saga goes away. We go and get ourselves a Lotus Petal. Cast a stock up. Well, this Chalice is pretty good. I would also like an Ancient Tomb, I think, for mana. So I think we just go Ancient Tomb, Chalice. Plays on 0 to shut out all the artifact mana. We can Force of Will the Burning Wish. Probably pitching the Flusterstorm, and then we gas up again with stock up. We've done some weird things to our deck to configure it this way. Let's just say no to this. This makes doing Echo of Eon's lines very difficult for our opponent. Alright, I would like to stock up first, and then we'll probably play out the seat and see where we go from there. Okay, we're going to play the Urza's Saga. I think we want one of those, and I'll take a Disruptor Flute, please. So now we can get the Saga rolling, and we've got a win condition here. We are a little bit shields down for this exact turn. Thoughtseize. We're going to lose the Disruptor Flute. Our opponent's got 4 cards in hand. Are they able to go off? Have they been sandbagging this Thoughtseize? Could be. Alright, we're getting a Burning Wish. Another one. Beseech the Mirror. This could obviously be very bad for us. We have a Haywire Might, but we can't cast it. Oh, sorry, we can't crack the activate ability of it. What we could do is, if we hold up our mana, it means that if they wheel us, we maybe get to do something. Is this going to have any impact on the game? I don't think it is. I think if we hold up our mana, it ends up being better for us most of the time. We can make a construct and then Metallic Rebuke if we get wheeled into new stuff. They've got a Saga. That is a good thing to sacrifice to their Beseech the Mirror, potentially. Okay. They don't have enough, which means we get to start making some aggressive plans. Let's make another friend. Then we tutor. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 artifacts. So this will cost 2 mana. Do I think the Soul Guide Lantern is useful here? It is a redraw. Sure, I'll take the Soul Guide Lantern. We'll take out the Dark Ritual. This shuts off Guy's Will lines if that's the thing our opponent's doing. We could play out this Haywire Might and then play out the Thought Monitor, and it ends up being the same for us. Let's draw some cards. We're just trying to make some large constructs. We could have tried to make our guys bigger, but I don't think we're going to be able to kill our opponent this turn. Do I play out the Emry? So this is 7, puts them down to 10, and we have lethal on the crackback. So I don't think we need to play out the Emry to do something next turn. If we hold this mana up, we can crack this in a pinch to look for Force of Will or Force of Negation. Now they do have an Urza Saga construct of their own, but we might be able to deal with that. Red and colourless. And a Braid on the Chalice. Is this a turn that we crack the Soul Guide Lantern looking for the Force of Will here? Our opponent's only got 3 cards in hand. I think we let this go and we try and Force of Will the Beseech the Mirror next turn. They've got 4 cards in hand. Saga's up to 2, so they can tread water a little bit. But their constructs are smaller. We don't actually have lethal on board. if they block. Unless we find a green source, which is not the most likely thing. Am I cracking this Soul-Guide Lantern to draw an extra card? I don't think so. It's power on our creatures for now. Force of Will. Okay, that's a good one. This means our opponent gets one more turn. So he can chomp block here to survive. We could crack the Soul-Guide Lantern looking for a thing to make our Haywire might work. I don't think we're doing that. The floating mana, this is a combo go turn rather than anything else. More as a Sagas. Red and... Okay, 4 red and 2 colourless. Runehorn Hellkite. We didn't get a window to interact with this. I guess we're going to draw some more cards. Metallic Rebuke and Sink into Stupor. We can do both, I think, here. This taps the sacrifice? Yes, okay. We don't know about this Beseech the Mirror now. It's in the graveyard. A gamble. You gamble. A Lion's Eye Diamond. Is making this cost 3 mana more useful? I think it probably ends up being useful. Which means we only have Metallic Rebuke, but I guess we can pinch them on this. So we can name Echo of Eons. Let's make that cost a bit more. You can't name Lion's Eye Diamond because it's a mana ability and this doesn't stop mana abilities. Mox. If they got the natural tendrils, we lose to that. 2 cards in hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they can definitely pay for Beseech the Mirror line. It's going to be a Brainstorm. 3 mana. We're going for an Echo of Eons line here. If we bounce this back to their hand, they can't do anything about this, right? Another one in the graveyard, but it costs more. So yes, we just go return this to your hand. No wheel for you. They can't crack this other one. Okay, we found a line somehow. Whew. Okay, maybe we can get a match. We have got a lot of counter magic and interaction here. I don't know if they're even running. They must be running Guy as well. It's just so free to run. I think we just go in again. Consigned Emry is pretty good. We can play the Emry on turn 1 and start getting some advantage going. I think this is okay. I would prefer a Force. If our opponent sends stuff on turn 1, the likely turn 1 lines involve doing Echo of Eons, which gives us a new 7 anyway. So I'm happy to play a hand that goes Emry, hold up Consigned to Memory. Are we getting a new hand? We are indeed getting a new hand. We did not pass the Force check. But does the hand continue to go off? We also failed the Force check this time around too. Thoughtseize. So they take the Chalice, I think, here, because that's the only thing that interacts. Yep. Are they able to combo off still, or is this just playing some more stuff out into a relay? Burning Wish has a payoff card. A Dark Ritual. Is this going to be a Beseech the Mirror? If they get Gaia's Will, this kills us, I believe. If they've got a black card in hand. Actually, it doesn't even need to be black. They can just Gaia's Will, and they can go Lotus Petal, Mox, imprint any card. Dark Ritual, Beseech, sacrifice the Mox, and tendrils us out. Yeah, the Gaia's Will lines are very easy to do with Storm. We got nothing here. Yeah, so they didn't have a black card, but they could use the thing, and then they're just going to go and get the tendrils. I'm not going to make our opponent click through that. Alright, another 2-1 loss. That seems to be the theme of this league. So we are 1-2, 1-2, 1-2. 2 rounds to go. Let's see if we can put some wins on the board, shall we? Round 4, here we are. What does our hand do? We don't have any engine cards. We're just going to be in the waiting room looking for the top deck painter. I don't know if we get to keep hands like that. Maybe we need to be more aggressive because it worked out pretty well before. So let's mulligan this one. Emry is an engine card. That is worth keeping a hand for. I will keep this and I'll probably bin off an Ancient Tomb. Our deck is quite mana hungry though, is the thing. We could bin off this Pithing Needle. We could put this on... If we bin off the Ancient Tomb, we can put the Pithing Needle on the Wasteland, and that's probably okay. Let's see what our opponent's up to. A Cloud Post. Okay, so milling them might not work here. They might have Eldrazi's. Let's play out this Seat of the Synod. Let's play out this Mishra's Bauble. That makes Emry only cost 1 mana. Here it is. Let's take a little peek. Sphere of Resistance. Okay, so they're probably on the green build, which means they're going to have access to Eldrazi's in their deck. which means our 2-card combo is now a 3-card combo. We need something like a Soulguide Lantern. Karn Silex. Alright, well, we've got a target for our Pithing Needle now. That's nice. A stock up. I would like to cast a stock up. I think we need to get this Pithing Needle down. What are we doing with our Emry? Probably just getting more cards. I think we just have to stop the Silex from killing us now. Alright, so we get to keep our Emry around. Take a little peek at what you're drawing next. Disruptor Flute. Ugh. Opponent, could you please stop? I have a family. I can't deal with this. Okay. This could be colourless Cloudburst, which would be sick. I haven't seen that for ages. Okay, we did not draw the card we needed. Now, Tamiyo can just go all the way for us. Ancient Stirrings. Love this card. It's like Super Impulse for only 1 mana. Now, there are obviously downsides. You have to only get a colourless card. But what a great card this is. It's cool. Love the art on it as well. There's that Sphere of Resistance. So Disruptor Flute isn't down yet, so we've got some options available. I think we want to stock up first before we do anything else. I guess doing anything else after the stock up becomes difficult because of the Sphere. Okay, we could go for this Tamiyo. And then we can play this Bauble out and get another card. And then if we draw a Force, we can cast the Force through the Sphere. The One Ring, that's a spooky one, isn't it? Which is a bit of worrying. Okay, we didn't draw the Force we wanted. I think we need to win this one through Urza's Saga. I certainly do not think we're going to be winning it through the Karn here. That is bad news for us. Goodbye, Seat of the Synod. Yuck. So our deck kind of doesn't do anything in this situation. So there's the Force of Will. We were 1 turn too late off of it. If we'd have stocked up, it would have cost us all of our mana. So we wouldn't have been able to do it anyway. How are we supposed to win this? I guess we stock up and start working towards Urza's Saga. So there is an Urza's Saga. We don't have any main deck blasts. I think we still end up... Do we take the Painter here? It's a creature. It can turn sideways and attack Karn. That's something. Jeez, this is terrible. Maybe we can bounce the Karn and pop off at some point. This does not seem like a matchup that we're ever going to have a hope at winning. Because our opponent has just got so many things that disrupt us. So resistance, when we're trying to cast 0 mana spells, not great for us. Also, when our actual combo is quite mana intensive too. And the Karn just shuts down everything we're doing. They've got Disruptor Flutes and Karn Silex. Post deck is sweet though. We're going to see the One Ring come down here. They don't have the mana to Lattice lock us yet. We don't have the pressure to kill the Karn once the Lattice is in play for the first turn. And then from that point on, they can just animate the Lattice and block with it until they get to a point where they can play something else and win the game. We can't use this Force. Oh, we're just Kozilek's commanding my little guy. That's fine. That was the only thing that was pressuring the Karn. But I don't think you can call 1 damage a turn pressuring at this point. Yep, we're losing a clue. Don't think we're using it anyway, but maybe. Okay, there's a Saga. You need to be not terrible for us. Let's play out the Saga. We need to hold up 1 mana for Force. Yes, we play out this Painter's Servant. I'll name blue. It makes our Force of Wills easier. And it might stop some of their colourless stuff. This reveals an artifact. It doesn't reveal a colourless card. But they might have some stuff that cares about specifically being colourless. We can play out 1 other artifact here. It won't matter and it will just get gobbled up by the Karn. So I don't think it's necessary. In this way we can play around an additional copy of Sphere of Resistance maybe. Ugin, Eye of the Storms. Oh no. This is a weird one. Because this only blows up colourless stuff. And all of our stuff is colourless. But do I think I can beat them gaining 3 life a turn? No, probably not. Oh no, we can't pay life for this Force of Will because of the Karn Silex, right? Oh yeah. Wow, their deck is just... If you want to build a deck to beat mono blue Painter, our opponent certainly has it there. I think we can just go to the next game. This is very over. Colourless, you say? I would like to play my... Do we have... We don't have any Harbinger of the Seas here, do we? That would be weird in our deck. What seems good? Haywire Might maybe does a little something. Consigned to Memory does a lot of something. Disruptor Flutes for their Planeswalkers makes a lot of sense too. And then that's probably it. I don't think anything else here is going to matter. The Flusterstorm isn't going to be able to hit like the One Ring and Karn and Ugin, all things we actually care about. This is not a Soul Guide Lantern matchup, so that can get out. Is this a Tamiyo matchup? I don't particularly want to get rid of Thought Monitor because it's a blue card and it actually has power and toughness. I think we need all the creatures with power and toughness we can muster. Maybe we're like trimming a little bit of zeros because they're not great into Karn. And then I think we want all of our counter magic. Are we just going to cut a Grindstone or a Painter here? Okay, Grindstone because we can always tutor it with the Urza Saga. I guess if we do want to try and combo them and they have Eldrazi, although they might not have Eldrazi, they might just be going up to Ugin. We didn't see any of the Eldrazi lands or like the Eye of Ugin type stuff. So they might not have that as their top end. If they don't have that as a top end, then we can do this sort of stuff. Okay, I'm going to leave in a Soul Guide Lantern. At least it cantrips. So we have the ability to win with the combo potentially. And worst comes to worst, we at least get to see our opponent's sweet deck if we mill them out. And then it goes back in. Okay, we can keep this, I guess. So we can go Bauble, Lavaspur Boots, Grindstone on turn 1. And then turn 2 we get Hasty Emry. That's an engine card. That does some work for us. Well, they've mulliganed to 5. We're in with a shot. Alright, Ancient Tomb. Let's get our Boots in. Grindstone. And then we'll take a reader off this Bauble. Sphere of Resistance. Cool. Haywire Might. And we have the mana to actually use it. That's very exciting. Alright, we get to do a lot of stuff here. I think step 1 is play Emry. See what we mill. Let's have a looky. Nothing really of note here. I will play this Haywire Might out. I will equip this. I can draw a card with the Emry. Or I can get 2 damage in now. I think we're just going to draw a card. We're looking for Urza Saga for next turn. Just get this Bauble back. Take a little look. Another Cloud Post. Sure. I'll play this Mox Opal. Because now we can blow up this anything we want with the Haywire Might. In theory. So we're not cold to Karn's Silence because of the Haywire Might. We've drawn another Bauble. Not actually what I wanted. We can move the Lavaspur Boots across this time. And start getting in for more damages. It's going to be the Sphere that we know about. That does kind of slow our roll a little bit. There it is. Okay, over to us. Are we going to draw something useful? Pithing Needle. Not quite the one we wanted right now. Let's just get back this Bauble. Does cost us a little bit of mana, but that's fine. I'll play this Bauble. We'll see what they're working with over there. A Karn. And what are we working with next turn? Another Bauble. Are you kidding me, Dick? Okay, we'll play this one out. I think we'll go for Pithing Needle here on Karn. Is it important to hold up this Haywire Might activation? Or is it important to get in an additional point of damage this turn? That is an interesting choice. I think I'm going to go for the extra damage. Alright, we're getting some extra cards. We know one of them's a Bauble. What's the other one? A Disruptor Flute. So this can name Ugin. And then that's another problem we don't have to worry about. Ugin, not phenomenal on this board, but I still don't want to have to play against it. 6 mana. They could just play a Karn, because it being in play is still Null Rod. Yep, so they are just playing out the Karn anyway. That shuts off some of our things. I don't think we're getting anything back here. I think we're just attacking everything at Karn to try and get this off the board and turn on our entire deck again. And then I would like to cast this, which will cost us a life. Eye of the Storms is the one we want, isn't it? Do I want to play out this Bauble? We may as well. Feels like we're doing lots of stuff but not actually getting anywhere. We can clean this Karn off the board, hopefully. A basic forest. Okay, so we are more into the green. Like we saw the Ancient Stirrings. I don't know if they're like a green deck or they're just splashing for that. Disruptor Flute. What do they name here? Grindstone? The problem is, for them, once we kill the Karn, we can blow up anything we want because we have the Haywire Might. Oh, I got so much mana. Karn's Silex. Okay, so the Haywire Might has to blow this up, but it can't now because the Disruptor Flute is naming it. Otherwise, we could have like killed the Khan, rebought our Haywire Might, and then blown it up. Are we 100% stone cold dead to what our opponent's doing? Feels like it. Although, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So we do have the win here, right? If they don't have any Eldrazi's in their deck. So this attacks Khan for 2. Turns back on our artifacts. And then we can play out this... Oh no, we can't play this out because they have the Sphere Resistance. So we need 3 mana to play the Painter, then we only have 2 mana to activate. How are we supposed to tackle that little problem? What are they drawing? A forest. So they got nothing coming up. Let's get back another ball. We'll just gas our hand back up. What are we drawing? A stock up. That's not a bad thing to have going, is it? If they want to Silex, they'll do it for 1. Which will... Oh, they might do it for 2 to take out the Disruptor Flute. Okay. Let's draw a card. So we could have milled them if they had a really good card on top. Metallic Rebuke is also reasonable here. And what is that one mystery card they had in hand that we didn't know about? Hopefully we can Force of Will it. Actually, no, we can't Force of Will it because of the card Silex, right? But if they pop the Silex first, then we can Force of Will it. Otherwise, we can Metallic Rebuke it. Right. Pop in the Silex for 2, I think. That does blow up both of these. They're doing it for 3. Why are they... Oh, that kills our Emry as well. That makes a lot of sense. I'm going to float a blue mana, I guess. We gain 2 life. That's something at least. But now our Force of Will is back on. So if they have a follow-up here, we can stop it. And then we can just stock up and try and work our way towards a combo. Ugin, Eye of the Storms. Yeah, I hate that for us. But we do at least have an answer. We can't Metallic Rebuke because this doesn't tap for blue right now. So we have to counterspell this. And I think the Metallic Rebuke is what's going to be pitched to it. Our opponent is now Hellbent. And we've angled ourselves into a position that is favourable. But the top decks of our opponent can just kill us at any moment. I think I'm going to stock up rather than play the Emry here. The stock up might allow us to play the Emry as well this turn. Consign to Memory. I would like to have that available. But we don't actually have a way of putting this all together right now, do we? We take the Force just to cover the next scary thing they have. And then this as a Saga gets us Grindstone in a few turns. What about the Emry? If we play the Emry out next turn, if we get a blue card here, we play the Emry out. We play the Emry and the Painted Servant out next turn. Then the turn after we tap this, get the Grindstone, kill them. Yeah, so that will actually work. So we just take any blue card here. I think we take the Consign because that's going to be more useful if we don't have to pitch it to Force of Will. But this is going to be our pitch to Force of Will if that ends up being what we need to do. The One Ring. Well, no thank you, opponent. And then we're going to put our opponent in check, and they're drawing off the top. So we might have a win here. Play this out. Cast this for 2 mana. Name blue, I guess. Hopefully they'll draw an Ancient Stirrings, because that doesn't work if we have Painted Servant in play. And now we can get Grindstone back and try and mill them. Is there a Soulguard Lantern here? There is not. Alright, we win the game, which tells us they're not running Emrakul, which means we can take out our Soulguard Lantern. That's really good news. So we don't need that card in anymore, which makes our Painter Grindstone combo a little bit better than I thought it was. But I like the Grindstone back in, and how do we fit it in? I think we've brought out a lot of artifacts, so we're just going to have a little bit less chance to make our Mox Opal work. I think this is about as good as it gets for us. Well, we have Counter Magic and the combo. This is a turn 3 kill with Counter Magic. Maybe we've found a line here. I don't like our opponent keeping 7 cards, but their hand will probably take a couple of turns to do anything. Or maybe not. Maybe they just have a really banger turn 2 play. Painter's Servant. So we play this out, and we go for Painter's Servant, I think. And we name blue so that we can pitch this Bauble to the Force of Will. That way we can then Metallic Rebuke the turn after. I didn't fancy it. They're doing in our upkeep, aren't they? If they're just Kozilek's commanding, we can just let this go and play another Painted Servant. Put our opponent in check. Sure, you got it. 1-2, Painted Servant. Name blue. Play the Grindstone. If we cycle this into a Force of Will, it gives us a second counter spell. So I'm willing to do that. Boseiju. Huh. That's good to know about. But a bit of a pain at the same time. They kind of have to just hold up the Boseiju at all times. And if we draw an Ancient Tomb, we can just go. They might be able to put enough mana down to have a nice play and hold up the Boseiju. Because there's Tower plus Nexus is the Boseiju mana. So if they've got like a Sylex here. No, thank you. I think it's the Haywire Might. Are you going to Boseiju the Painter or the Grindstone? Probably the Painter, because they've already seen that we have played another one. But we just happen to have the other one in hand, which actually works out really well for us. Bauble, you say. See what you've got over there, opponent. A Dismember. Problem is, they can just pay for the extra mana. I could just mill this Dismember off the top. That maybe ends up being what we need to do here. But if we mill this off the top, we can't cast this Metallic Rebuke. So I think we just want our opponent to tap out and us to find one extra piece of mana somewhere. Right, they're doing the tapping out side of things. Omen Path Journey. Well, I'm going to have to read what this is. When this enchantment enters, search your library for up to 5 land cards that have different names, exile them and shuffle. At the beginning of your end step, choose a card at random and put it on the battle. That's cool. I've never seen this card before in my life. It's not going to hit the battlefield though. 1, 2, and then this can pay 1. They only have 2 mana, so this should get counted. Sweet deck, opponent. And then this is going to name Grindstone. Yep, and now our way of removing this is gone when the Hex thingy-majig, whatever it's called, Haywire Might. Okay, we've drawn the bounce spell. How much does this cost? 3 mana. Okay, I will Thoughtcast here. So we found some extra mana, and we also have the Urza Saga to be getting on with. I don't really want to play out this Painted Servant when we know they have a Dismember in hand. Oh, can't Sylex though. Could you not? Destroy each non-land permanent with mana value X or less. And they've got another Omen Path Journey as well. Oh, we were so close. We were really wriggling our way through and we just couldn't quite get there. How? They can only activate this as a sorcery. So they might not activate it. And then we bounce this in the end step. And then we just go paint a Grindstone you. And hopefully the Dismember doesn't kill us. Maybe we can draw a counter spell. A lot of lands there. Oh, they get a random Cloud Post. That seems very nice for them. I'm not opposed to having this Lotus Petal. So this does this, and then we have enough mana to bounce this. We don't need to play out the Lotus Petal. Okay. We need them to not have the action they want. Ancient Stirrings. Yep, that's a pretty good way of finding action, isn't it? I felt like we're so close here. Ugin Eye of the Storms. Please tap out for Ugin Eye of the Storms. No, they don't even need to tap out. We can't bounce the Disruptor Flute very easily. We could bounce this. Does that do anything? No. How do we get through this? This Urza's Tower being able to disrupt us is really annoying. We get a land here. And then it's time to make a friend. And then I wish we still had that Haywire Might in our deck. We could bounce the Disruptor Flute. Do we have the mana to do everything here? So 1, 2, 3. That can bounce. No, we probably just need to get some friends in and start attacking this Ugin, right? That's probably our solution here. This is our last answer to Grindstone in our entire to this Disruptor Flute in our entire deck, I think. We can make the Urza Saga enough to kill this next turn. But then we have to deal with the Khan's Sylex. This is an actual nightmare. If we bounce this, they automatically play it. If we just hold on to this, we could do something in our turn. We could bounce this Sylex And that delays it a turn. Because they can only pop this as a sorcery. Oh, jeez. This is really tough. If we make a guy here, we'll have 2 5/5s. So that will kill the Ugin Eye of the Storms. If that is our priority, we can do that. Okay, I'm not going to use this Sink into Stupor. We really need more answers to stuff like this and Null Rod in our deck. Oh, okay. That's an interesting one, isn't it? Let's go and get ourselves a Pithing Needle on the Khan's Sylex, I think. That means we're not killing Ugin this turn. But Ugin isn't actually the big problem that I'm worried about, as weird as that is. Okay. Khan's Sylex. And then we can play this out. So now this can't be dismembered. This can attack into the Ugin for a decent bunch. We've got the Consign. So we can bounce this Disruptor Flute and then consign it on the way down. Ancient Stirrings. Okay, this needs to not be super scary. And then we still need to beat this Dismember somehow. Maybe we do a weird attack where we attack the Ugin with a Construct. Just one. So maybe they Dismember the Construct and then we can get our Painted Servant in. Real tough game, this. If our opponent taps low enough. Oh, Khan the Great Creator. Why? These are my absolute mind here. Okay. Well, we can't let Khan the Great Creator resolve. Although we could kill the Khan with a Construct. Okay, they have nothing to blow up with this. What are they going to show us? It's going to be some other horrible permanent we can't beat, isn't it? An Ensnaring Bridge. Come on. Okay, I guess I wish we'd have hit the Khan now. I guess we No, we don't replicate. We do replicate this, I think. So we could have hit the Khan, which would have been fine. But I was kind of hoping they would like blow up one of our petals or something. And Ensnaring Bridge is gone. We do get to kill both of their planeswalkers this turn, in theory. And if they use their Dismember and we get to kill the Khan, they can save the Ugin. We don't really care that much about the Ugin, do we? So we attack all creatures. One is definitely coming at Khan. I think we just take out both of the planeswalkers. They can Dismember the one that's going after Khan. They did not do that. Okay. So now we play out this Tamiyo. That might be worth a Dismember to our opponent. And then we just need to try and stop this Disruptor Flute coming down before we get to combo. Ancient Stirrings, yep. If we had a Painted Servant in play, it could stop these. We've used a lot more of our clock than our opponent, so I do appreciate our opponent bearing with us. We've had a lot of thinking to do here. Our opponent's just slamming Haymaker after Haymaker, and we're trying to finesse our way through. So what we probably need to do is go Painted Servant, bounce. Oh, Kozilek's Command, that's so scary. Are we just going to start naturally grindstoning our opponent and hoping for the best? That seems like a failure. But if they leave cards on top with the Kozilek's Command, we'll obviously grindstone them. These 6/6s are unlikely to do enough. If they tap all the way out here, they're going to just make a bunch of spawns, probably. Alright. Now our opponent has to spend 10 minutes scrying, which is fair enough because there's a lot of cards they're looking at here. We're just going to naturally grind them in a second. I don't think they're ever going to be in a situation where they can't cast Dismember and Disruptor Flute. So we need to find a Consign to Memory. And then we can bounce this, consign it on the way down, and then combo off through Dismember. How are we going to combo off through Dismember? We need to find a counter spell for that. Like, we're never beating our opponent's creatures here because they can just chum block for infinite amount of time until they get another Kozilek's Command. The One Ring. Oh, jeez. Okay. We'll wait till they tap to draw this, and then we're going to grindstone them. Oh, we can't grindstone them, can we? We should have grindstone them first. Well, that was just very loose of me there. My brain is completely fried from this one. I've only got 3 minutes left. Great. Could you not, though? How are we ever supposed to beat this deck? I guess we just need to go turn 3 Painter combo with counterspell like we did in game 2. Lattice, they can cast a Lattice. Alright, opponent, you wanted it more. Ugh. An absolute slog. And then we came up short of a win there. There was just so many turns where we were so close to getting through, but then we saw that Dismember on top, and it was like, ah. And then they had the Disruptor Flute on top. It was really, really awkward for us. A little bit better luck on our part may have got us there, but I think we need a lot of luck to win this matchup in the first place. Alright, we are 4 rounds down, and we have 1-2 to every single round. So let's go to the final one and see if we can maybe get a 2-1. That'd be nice. Okay. This is a turn 2 Emry with a backup Emry. We don't get Wasteland off our mana source. I'm going to keep. Okay, Bauble. Let's get this Grindstone down to make our Emry cheaper. We'll pass it over. I'm not going to crack the Bauble because I want my stuff to be cheaper. Seat. Let's go for an Emry. If they counterspell this, we can play a second Emry. 1, 2, 3. We can play this out to give us 1 mana Thoughtcast next turn. Honestly, that seems fine. Very few decks play sweepers for this sort of stuff in the main deck. We get lightning bolted. We have the Painted Servant in the graveyard, so we are able to assemble the combo in a couple of turns. We'll need a little bit more mana, but we're going to be drawing extra cards, probably into Orcish Bowmasters, I guess, but we'll see. Brainstorm. Okay. Our opponent milled over a guy as well, so they are in the Storm ballpark over there. So we would ideally like to try and win this game quickly. Hopefully we don't die this turn. We can use the Bauble in our opponent's turn. Sorry, we can draw from the Bauble in our opponent's turn. I would like to cast a Thoughtcast for 1 mana. A stock up. Let's have a look at what you're working with over there. Commercial District. It's not a big hitter, is it? The Guy's Will's already in the graveyard, so I don't think we have to worry about them having graveyard lines. I think we will get back the Bauble here. Cast this, and then I'm going to cast this stock up looking for counter magic, I think. Because if we find 1 mana off of this, we also can just paint a combo next turn anyway. Metallic Rebuke, Mox Opal is probably what we're taking here, isn't it? It kind of covers the bases we are required to cover. Let's play out this Mox Opal. We have plenty of Metalcraft. Let's see. Alright, we're going to go to the end step first. I'd probably get a Surveil land here. Although we don't want to miss the opportunity of drawing the Bauble, actually. We just want to do it here. We're not going to have this information because they're going to fetch this commercial district in a second anyway. I'd be amazed if this wasn't what they fetched. So we have Metallic Rebuke up, and we have 1 draw off of our Bauble. If that's a Force of Will, I'm going to feel pretty safe. And then next time we just have 2 mana for Painter, 3 mana for Grindstone, and we win the game. Come on, Bauble, draw me a Force. I've got 5 in the deck. We've got 2 Bauble triggers. Yeah, we found a Force. And another Rebuke. Good stuff, deck. I appreciate your efforts this time around. We do need to put a win on the board at some point. A Lotus Petal. So it begins. They probably have to go for Beseech lines. They could have Song of Creation. It's only a 1 of those, so it's more likely that that's something they can Beseech for. Mox, you got it. I think we're going to try and pinch the payoff card. Could be Echo. Could be just a Beseech chain. If we can get Thoughtseized here. Oh no, Dark Ritual. We could still get Thoughtseized. So this is going to be a Beseech, isn't it? And they're going to have 2 cards in hand. If they are both Veil of Summer, we just lose here. So they've got Storm count of 4. Do we just let this one go through? Because if they get another bargain and sacrifice this, that's 1 fewer things they can have. Is that wild to let this resolve? Because they have to put the spell on the stack, so we get to see what it is and then we can counter that spell. What are you putting on a stack here? It is the Song of Creation line. Okay. I would like to Metallic Rebuke that, please. Veil of Summer. Can't spell this Veil of Summer. Do you have another Veil? Okay, they did not have another Veil, so now we just get to win the game. Big fan of that for us. This gets back Painted Servant in blue. And we Grindstone our opponent. Let's scoot it up. Okay, we managed to get game 1 against Storm. A bunch of forces certainly don't hurt. What would I like here? Chalice of the Void looks good. Flusterstorm looks excellent. Disruptor Flute is fine. Fairy Macabre sometimes is useful. Consign to Memory and Hydroblast. are always useful. Don't think we need this Pithing Needle. Probably don't need the Lavaspur Boots. Just want to keep all my blue cards available. Tamiyo's not great in this matchup though. Maybe we can trim on some Painter's Servant stuff. Get some... So the Hydroblasts are for Burning Wish, which the Epic Storm usually runs. And then I guess we're just trimming some little bits. We still need to make more cuts here. Can we realistically get rid of this Painter's Servant? Maybe we do get rid of the Thought Monitor because it's expensive. It is blue though. I think we have enough blue cards. Alright, we'll try something like this. No counter magic, just our combo. Do I think trying to just combo our opponent makes sense? No, I'm going to mulligan this. We need to interact. I'll take a Chalice. Yeah, I'll take a Chalice of 0. What are we putting back here? We've got 2 mana. We got Thoughtcast. Is it the stock up that goes? I think it is. I'm a pretty good turn 1, actually. We can go turn 1 Painter to make it really easy to pitch blue cards if they wheel us. Alright, they didn't do anything on turn 1. That's amazing news. They're not going to expect this Chalice of 0 because that's a really weird thing for our deck to do. Hello again, stock up. Here is Seat. Here is the Opal. Here is this for 0. We have 2 choices. We can Thoughtcast for cards, or we can try and assemble our combo. I think I'm just going to Thoughtcast for cards here. Not particularly useful cards. So we've boarded lower on all of our 0 drops so that we can play the Chalice on 0. Now our opponent's still going to have Veil of Summer, so they can play Veil, and then that stops the triggers from this actually countering stuff. Opponent doesn't seem to want to play anything out here. That's good news for us. Another Thoughtcast. Sure. I'll draw some more cards. Would like to find a mana source. We did not find a mana source though. Okay. We have a Flusterstorm though, which gives me some amount of relief. That gives us the ability to hopefully counterspell a Veil of Summer in a couple of turns. Hopefully we don't get Veiled this turn. Here comes a Veil of Summer. The Epic Storm is very strong. Playing it to its peak ability though, not very easy to do. We get another turn. That is exactly what I want to see. Oh no, we're second main phase. Oh, we're just going in the second main phase. This is probably game over. Yep. Mox resolves because their spells can't be countered this turn. Missing on a land drop there was pretty costly. Obviously, it found us one of the protection piece that we would be holding up anyway. But if this Metallic Rebuke was a land, I don't think we can lose this game. But now I think we do just lose this turn. Yeah, you keep going, opponent. What we're trying to do here is represent... Oh. They're not going. Huh. Okay. I can certainly live with that. I will deploy a Grindstone here. This gives us access to Metallic Rebuke or Flusterstorm and Force of Will. We just need to draw lands. An Ancient Tomb would be a lovely draw. So I used the Veil but didn't combo off with it. That might have just been like a tester Veil and they thought they'd just put a couple of things into play just to make use of it. Because getting Lethal Storm count is very easy for the Epic Storm. That's never the problem. So I think I'm willing to deploy this Emry. A Disruptor Flute. I just want mana. Lotus Petal's obviously not really mana, but there you go. This is going to be like an Abrupt Decay or something. No, it's the Boseiju, isn't it? We can't counterspell Boseiju. But I will certainly take this land. That is a big boon for us. We can't quite cast the Metallic Rebuke though, because this is not an artifact. So it's Flusterstorm or Metallic Rebuke. Burning Wish. I would like to counterspell that with this Force. Do we need to force this? Flusterstorm is like such a big we go over the top sort of card. Do I think we can just let them spin and it goes wrong for them? This might just get them a Thoughtseize. I don't really want to have to fight a Thoughtseize. We can just get back the Chalice of the Void next turn anyway. A Thoughtcast. 1, 2, 3 artifacts. So we're going to get back our Chalice first. And now we can Thoughtcast for 1 mana. We can hold up Metallic Rebuke and Flusterstorm. Seems solid. We just need to draw an Ancient Tomb. Bad lands from our opponent. A defense grid. I don't want them to have a defense grid. They can crack the Lion's Eye Diamond or have a Dark Ritual to power this out. Okay, they did not do that. Force of Negation is not a bad one to have access to here, is it? I think we'll go for the Painter's Servant this turn. In blue. Nothing really to do with the Emry here. Is there any point attacking? I guess. It's the damage, isn't it? So we've got access to Force of Negation and Flusterstorm. Or Force of Negation and Metallic Rebuke. 4 cards in our opponent's hand. I think we may get a win here. Feels close. Alright, we're going for a Runehorn Hellkite. That is not an easy one for us to interact with. Okay, we have a Hydroblast, which does something some of the time. But the Chalice of the Void really makes our opponent's life difficult. And they had no floating mana going into this. But they were dead on board, so they had to do something. So I appreciate our opponent wasn't in a tight spot. Wasn't in a good spot, and they had to try and wriggle out from a very tight place. And they at least found a way to get a new grip of cards and start moving things along. They've also stripped us of all of our good permission. It's a case of whether or not this Chalice of the Void is stopping them. So they need to find a land to start things going. If they have land into Dark Ritual, they might be able to string together some other rituals and then Beseech line. Alright, we managed to win the game and our first match. Alright, it took us 5 rounds, but we eventually got a 2-0. It wasn't even a 2-1. I kind of wanted the 2-1 just for the symmetry there. But yeah, we battled hard this league. Let's talk about the deck. So this deck was very difficult to win with today. And there were a few reasons for that. The first one is mana. We have less mana than traditional Pinnacle Stompy decks, but we are doing more mana intensive stuff. So Thought Monitor, Thoughtcast and Painter combo are way more mana intensive than playing Patchwork Automaton or having a bunch of zeros that tap for mana to make your Kappa Cannoneer. Like Kappa Cannoneer is a 6-drop, so you think, oh, it's really mana intensive. But it isn't when your deck's running 8 Baubles, 4 Lotus Petal, 4 Mox Opal, and all that sort of jazz. And also you have the Pinnacle Emissary to just make all the guys you need. And we have basically 2 modes that we play this game at, really. We have trying to combo, or we have Urza Saga. We can do sort of like a grindy thing, but the win is eventually probably going to come from either of those 2 things. So that means we have a bunch of A plus Bs that are rubbish on their own, like Painted Servant and Grindstone are rubbish on their own. Together, obviously, they win the game, which is lovely. But on their own, they don't do very much, which means that when we've got a bunch of air in our deck with like baubles and things, and, you know, these card draws, it becomes very difficult to necessarily know if your hand's actually going to work, which is another problem we found a fair few times. I will also say that Thoughtcast and Thought Monitor, when we're running quite low on baubles, is a little bit sketchy to me as well. I think, obviously, the Pinnacle Stompy deck is just the best sort of this deck, right? The best blue as a Saga sort of shell. I don't think that's really up for much debate. It has been performing better. It won one of the Eternal Weekends. It's got a lot of redundancy built into it, which is something that our deck doesn't really have that much of. And we don't have as many like things that make our hand keepable in this, which is what I really dislike. So the Patchwork Stompy decks, you can keep Pinnacle Emissary hands, you can keep Emry hands, you can keep Patchwork Automaton hands, you can keep Urza Saga hands. Sometimes you can even keep Kappa Cannoneer hands. That's a lot of keepable hands. Our keepable hands are basically Emry hands, Urza Saga hands, and hands that have exactly Painted Servant and Grindstone. I guess Tamiyo hands are probably okay as well, but there's only 2 of those anyway. And these are easier things to break up than just having lots of redundant, like, okay, we can just make guys and beat down. Now, people might want to actually play Painter rather than playing the Pinnacle Stompy deck, because there are things that this deck can do that other decks can't. You know, the infinite combo of Painter Servant, Grindstone to mill your opponent out is an incredibly powerful thing that can win in spots that maybe the Stompy deck can't. But I think if you want to play that, you need to put more mana in your deck. I don't think we had enough mana to leverage stuff as much as we wanted. So many of the turns I was playing this, I was like, oh, I really want some more mana. And we just didn't get to it. I also think we need more like engine cards. I think you could just cut the Thought Monitor and Thoughtcast for more Tamiyos. I think that would just be better. The card is just really strong. Now, we're not necessarily going to be able to leverage flipping Tamiyos easily if we're not playing Thoughtcasts. which is something to consider, but we do have baubles and we will have clues. But that's definitely an option that is available, because this card is always going to be something that you want to cast and is going to be good and change the game. These cards can sit in your hand for ages and not necessarily do anything. When you're behind, these cards don't help you get anywhere back into the game, whereas this can like block and start drawing extra cards and doing all sorts of stuff. I don't really need to tell you why Tamiyo is a good card. Also, because we're running stock up, I think we do need a little bit more mana just to get this through. And the biggest problem, I think, aside from the mana for me with this deck, is our vulnerability to a Null Rod or Disruptor Flute or that sort of permanent. If there's a permanent that comes into play that just hoses our deck, we have two answers for it. One of them is bouncing it temporarily, which is just not a viable option against Disruptor Flute a lot of the time, especially in the decks that are playing it that have lots of mana that can just recast it immediately. It means you have to be in a situation where you have Painter and Grindstone, then you bounce it, and then because it's your turn, you have priority, then you activate the Grindstone. That's like the only way that that really works, and that's a one-off. And the Haywire Might, which doesn't actually work against things like the Null Rod anyway, or Stony Silence, which is seeing a little bit of play in some decks. So I don't think we have that base covered very well. We need to have something that can deal with those. Now we're in blue, so that's not necessarily the easiest thing for us to do. I suppose we could go into like Boomerang Basics maybe, and try and have that as a way of bouncing things that can also just draw us an extra card in a pinch, because we've got some zeros that it could just bounce and not really matter. And then we just have slightly more ways of getting that out of play for our turn where we go off. And, you know, we can bounce it and then try and counterspell it. I think if you're adding more land to the deck, maybe adding in another Sink into Stupor would be quite good, because this answers some of these problem cards we've mentioned whilst upping the land count. So you can kind of answer the problem A and the problem B at the same time. And that'd be kind of an interesting way of doing it. What you cut to make that work is interesting. I'd be probably cutting the Thought Monitor. Did we ever cast this? I don't know if we did. Probably cut this for a Sink into Stupor. That would be like step one. I think you might also want one more land on top of that. So maybe another Sink into Stupor. It helps your blue count. What you cut for that, I'm not sure. Maybe you have to start like trimming a Thoughtcast or a Stock Up. Like Stock Up is just way better than Thoughtcast on our deck because it digs for our actual combo. I think I would rather play, what was it called? Forging the Anchor, I think it is. Yeah, here it is. Forging the Anchor. So it's a 3-mana look at the top 5 cards of your library. You reveal any number of artifact cards from among them. Put the revealed cards into your hand. Put the rest in the bottom of your library in order. This card is almost going to be better for us. Although our artifact count isn't actually super high, now we think about it. So maybe that's just wrong. And that's just for a very different deck, actually. And this also doesn't hit counterspells. Ignore me. I've changed my mind. You don't want that. You just want the stock ups. And then I guess Thoughtcast has to be the one you want. But it did feel like it wasn't always the easiest thing for us to cast, because we've trimmed on our baubles to fit in some of the like paintery type stuff and things here. Yeah, I think that's my main thoughts on this deck. I think I've gone into a fair amount. I like to always delve a little bit more when I get a donation deck and talk about how I think you can improve things. I would personally just play the Pinnacle Stompy deck. But if you do want to play Painter, I think you need to address those flaws with this deck and try and go from there. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. If you're looking to buy any cards, check out 3for1 Trading. The link is in my description. They support me and the channel, so if you can support them by purchasing things from them, that would be lovely. All right, goodbye. If you'd like to support me and the channel, please check out my Patreon. It has a free guide to budget Turbodepths, as well as 3 tiers of support. A low-cost one that enters you into my monthly raffle for a free donation deck on the channel, a mid-tier subscription that gives you access to my detailed Turbodepths guide that is updated every month, as well as regular articles, and lastly, the higher tier gives you all of the above, as well as a monthly donation deck for my channel. If you're interested in supporting the channel this way, please check out the link in the description.